Hello everybody, this is Mr. Yen, and in this video I want to review page 2, which is problem 2 from the lesson 7.5a classwork. From what I saw, some of you are doing this just right, and a couple of you are filling it out and are making some common mistakes, so I want to address those. So in this problem, we have some given information from the diagram. So we're going to check what angles and what sides are marked in the diagram. And we're also being asked to prove this right here, that side AM is congruent to side OC. We don't know that yet just from looking at the diagram, and so that's what we're trying to prove. Keep that in mind. First thing that we want to do is list 3 things that are congruent from the given statement or the diagram. In this case, we just have a diagram. So we're going to look at the diagram to see what's congruent. First thing that I see is that this angle right here, which is angle A, is congruent to this angle. I'm sorry, to this angle right here in this second triangle. Those two. So I can say, okay, angle A is congruent to angle O. Okay, we have an angle. I'm going to put A for angle down here. The next thing that I see as congruent is this side right here. This is side going from A to T. So side AT is congruent to, I check on the triangle on the right, that same marking is right here. Like that. So I know that side AT, that side is OT in the triangle on the right. Okay, so we have a side. I'm going to put S for side. And the third thing that's marked as congruent is this angle here, which appears right here. So on the triangle on the left, I'm not just going to put angle T, because if I say angle T, it's not clear which of these 3 angles I'm talking about. So instead of just putting 1 letter, I'm going to put 3 letters. And this angle, right, for the triangle on the left goes between point M, point T, and point A. M, T, A gives us this angle. So I'm going to say angle M, T, A is congruent to, on the right, it's this angle right here. And this angle is going between point C, point T, and point O. C to T to O, those 3 points form this angle right here. So I'm going to say angle CTO. That's what's congruent, and that's another angle. So between these 2 triangles, they share an angle, a side, and then another angle. We can conclude that these 2 triangles are congruent. So I'm going to say triangle ATM is congruent to 2. So if we're going A to T to M, order is important here. So triangle, since angle O is congruent to angle A, I'll say angle O first. They share the T, and then C, angle C is what's congruent to angle M. So I'll say OTC. That's the correct order. And I know that they're congruent because, well, we said that they share the 2 angles and then the side. And since the side is touching the 2 angles, it's in between the 2 angles that are congruent, we're going to say 2 angles and an included side. So because 2 angles and an included side. Are congruent. And the shorthand for that is ASA, angle side angle. The side is in between the two angles. That's the criteria that we know is true, and that's why we know those two triangles are congruent. Okay, now where it says list the remaining parts, that's angles and sides that we now know are going to be congruent that weren't originally marked as congruent. So we're talking now about this side, and this side, this angle, and this angle, and this side, and this side. Those are all of the remaining parts that weren't already marked as congruent in this first part. So I can go ahead and fill that out. I have side AM is congruent to side TC. I have angle M is congruent to angle, straighten this out for you, angle C. And then side MT is congruent to side C. Oh, those are all the remaining parts. All right, conclusion. Therefore, what? What did we want to prove? Go back to the top. We wanted to prove that AM is congruent to OC. Whatever you were trying to prove always needs to be in your concluding statement. We wanted to prove that AM is congruent to OC. And you know what? Doing this now, I realize that I made a little mistake here. Sorry, AM is congruent to OC. So I marked this incorrectly. I'm sorry about that. Let's use another color to clarify. AM is this, OC is this. Those two sides are congruent. Okay, so it's AM and OC right here. And then MT and TC. So sorry. Okay, so AM is congruent to OC, and the reason why we know that those two sides are congruent is because we know that the remaining parts have to be congruent if we prove that the triangles were congruent. So I'm going to say because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay. And you can check your work, the rest of your work, with the full answer key that you should receive by email if you submitted the assignment. Thank you very much.